What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. I can't wait to play the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, I've seen the Eagles content creators talking. I've seen people in the media talking about how the New York Giants are so upset, how their fans are furious that the Philadelphia Eagles went up and got Devonta Smith. Well, I can't speak for all fans, but I'll give my opinion in this video and check the receipts. I'm not just saying this after the draft. I said this long before the draft started. You go back, look at it. The proof's in the pudding. Check out my videos. I am not livid. I'm not even close to livid. As a matter of fact, I have a smile ear to ear over what happened in the draft, not just for the Giants, but for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll explain so throughout this video. But one thing that I've constantly heard from people in the media, from people on YouTube, that the New York Giants are livid. And I'm going to pull up some of these quotes. I've also heard that Devonta Smith knew that he was going to be a New York Giant if he was on the board there at number 11 overall. First, let's start with the quotes, and I'll give my opinion on all of it. This came out from Devonta Smith. I thought Carolina was going to draft me, Smith said during the Green Light podcast with Chris Long. That's who I thought. I knew, of course, the Giants, but it was all about you have to get to 11. I knew if I was there at 11, I was for sure going to the Giants. And I think that's all factual. That's all probably true. I believe Devonta Smith there because, quite frankly, you go back to early February, I thought Devonta Smith was going to be a Giant long before anybody else did. Most people had him going third overall. I looked at Jalen Waddle, and I looked at Devonta Smith, and I said to myself while I was watching it, these guys aren't even close. And this was long before he was a Philadelphia Eagle. This is when I thought one of them could very well be a New York Giant. I thought Jalen Waddle was a much better prospect than Devonta Smith. And in the end, it turns out that teams probably felt the same way. The Miami Dolphins elected to take Jalen Waddle. When you watch Jalen Waddle, when they played side by side before Waddle went down, he was the better player. Jalen Waddle's more explosive. Devonta Smith could be a very good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. And as a Giants fan, I would have been happy had the New York Giants selected him at number 11 overall. But was he my preference? No. I always wanted Rashawn Slater. That's who I always wanted. And I would have preferred a trade down to taking Devonta Smith. But this is coming from somebody that is not enamored with wide receivers. As a matter of fact, I went as far to make a video about the pros and cons of drafting Devonta Smith and went down a laundry list of wide receivers that were drafted in the first round, second round, and third round individually between the drafts of 2015 2019. Wide receivers who were drafted in the second round were better than wide receivers drafted in the first, and the same can be said for wide receivers drafted in the third. And my point in that video was to show that you could get great value at that position historically. It's just facts. Well, the Eagles last 2 years have drafted 2 first-round wide receivers at a position where I could argue you could get the most value of any position in the NFL draft. Not only did they do that, they traded up to get one because they knew the Giants were going to take him at 11. They traded up from 12 to 10. And not only did that happen, it came out from several people after the fact that the Eagles had the same deal on the table that the New York Giants did to trade down with the Chicago Bears, and the Eagles said no and moved up and got Devonta Smith. Now, had the Eagles done that deal, they would have 4 first-round picks in next year's draft, one of which could easily be a top 10 pick when you look at the Chicago Bears schedule next year. So as a Giants fan, am I upset that the Philadelphia Eagles got a 142-pound wide receiver when he's soaking wet? That could be very good route runner, so on and so forth. But is he going to be a game changer when he goes up against the Giants? We got the best secondary in the league. You think a rookie wide receiver with Jalen Hurts throwing him the football is going to make me shake in my boots? I would have been much more scared of the Eagles had they traded down to 20, got a guy like Kadarius Toney, and gotten a future first-round pick, because then I say to myself, holy crap, next year the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be able to take all those first-round picks and either A, trade up and get the quarterback of their choosing, or B, there's 3 options. B, get 4 immediate impact players where they're in a bad cap situation, or they trade all that draft capital to get a guy like Aaron Rodgers. So as a Giants fan, am I upset that the Philadelphia Eagles traded up to get Devonta Smith? No. Am I saying it's necessarily the wrong move? Not necessarily. He could very well work out to be well worth that pick for the Eagles. And if that was their guy at 6, which I'm sure the Eagles are going to say now in hindsight, you should be happy as an Eagle fan. I will say this about the Eagles. They didn't give up nearly enough to move up from 12 to 10. I don't think the Cowboys got enough. So in terms of just judging the trade in terms of value, I thought the Eagles should have to give up more than a third-round pick to do it. The Giants gave up a third-round pick to drop from 42 to 50. That's all the Cowboys got, to drop from 10 to 12. So I think the Cowboys panicked. I think they saw the first team that they could make a trade with, and they did it. So from that standpoint, as an Eagles fan, you should be happy. But am I livid as a Giants fan that you traded up to get Devonta Smith? Absolutely not. I would have been much more scared if you got Justin Fields. Because in my opinion, that guy has at least the potential to be a game changer. Now, this came out from an article regarding this. The Giants reportedly were livid that the Eagles drafted Devonta Smith. And this may be true. It may not be. We all know that the media tries to sell stories. They try to create, drama because they know clickbait, it sells. People love, drama, so on and so forth. So I don't always believe everything that the media tells me. Sometimes I'll take it with a grain of salt, but it could very well be true. But if that's the case, well, I'm happy at the outcome. Take a look at this. This coming out from Lee Sharp, who's an analyst for PFF, and he went back and he analyzed the last 12 NFL drafts. This was his conclusion regarding the New York Giants and their 2 trade downs. NFL data analyst Lee Sharp rates Gettleman's 2021 draft day trading spree as the highest net gain by any NFL GM in the last 12 years of the NFL draft. And certainly the highest for the Giants over the same span. And we all knew if Gettleman was going to trade down, he was going to get an arm and a leg, and that's exactly what happened. So if you're asking me as a Giants fan, am I livid? Am I scared? Am I upset that the Philadelphia Eagles jumped from 12 to 10? Knowing what we got out of this draft, we got Kadarius Toney, who I had as the wide receiver 5. You go back, check the receipts. Loved him to the New York Giants potentially in the second round, who I think fits this scheme beautifully. And we got Azeez Ojulari, who I would have been completely fine with taking at 20, where we traded down. We got 2 immediate impact players, and we got the biggest haul in an NFL draft over the last 12 years in terms of value from trading down. Am I upset as a New York Giants fan? Absolutely not. I couldn't be happier because not only did the New York Giants help this team in the present, they helped it dramatically in the future. Now, what I'll say for the Philadelphia Eagles, you guys are setting your team up right. You got 3 future first-round picks next year. You'll probably be picking relatively early with your pick, and you'll see how the other 2 picks work out. I think the Colts are going to be a good team. I don't think that'll be an early first-round pick, but we'll have to wait and see. But as an Eagles fan, I think overall, your offseason, if I'm being honest, has been pretty strong. But do I think the Devonta Smith pick was a wise decision? I don't know. I personally feel like you get value at the wide receiver position. I actually made a video on it talking about how over the last 5 drafts from 2015 to 2019, the wide receivers drafted in the second round were better than the wide receivers drafted in the first. I personally think the Eagles should have taken that trade offer had they been given it from the Chicago Bears and continued to try to rebuff this roster. As we learned as New York Giants fans, it's very hard to try to win and rebuild at the same time. And if you ask me as a Giants fan, is that what the Eagles are trying to do? Kind of seems like it. But we'll have to wait and see how the whole offseason plays out. But I want to get a video stating my opinion on the whole thing. Eagles fans, you should be happy. You got yourself a nice wide receiver. I'm sure you guys are excited. But don't tell Giants fans how to feel. I can't speak for every Giants fan. You're going to get a lot of Giants fans on Twitter that believe everything they want to hear. They're going to panic. They're going to say it was a horrible mistake. But for most Giant fans on my page and for me, I'll say this. We're happy. We're happy with the outcome of this draft. We're happy with the haul that we got, and we couldn't care less if Devonta Smith is lining up at the wide receiver spot. As long as you got Jalen Hurts throwing him footballs, you don't scare me. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.